right, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about moisture management. Kind of a funny term I created that hopefully describes kind of the effective practice of how to take care of your stuff in between class periods. So we say it's the practice of storing your pots and pieces between class to assure success. What's really important here is that you have to babysit your work when you're not with it. And you need to be thinking in terms of like, how am I going to move or preserve the moisture level in my piece such that I can do whatever kind of tooling or sculpting practices I want to do to it. So at any rate, we're going to cover the basics with that, and I have some samples here we'll go over. Number one, what I call a tent is basically a very simple bag that is dropped over the piece and the bat. This is what we call a bat, just a little piece of wood that we store our piece on. The tent allows airflow. It allows the piece to lose some moisture. It's good for transitioning your piece from the plastic state to sort of the leather hard state. So you're not really able to sculpt it any longer. You can sculpt a little bit, but more importantly, you can begin to tool it and do so without creating too many boogers and sharp edges. So tenting enables you to lose some moisture in a uniform manner and then transition from plastic to leather hard. And it's also good in general. It's a good practice to, in essence, as you're wanting your piece, you basically finished, and you want to lose moisture slowly. Sometimes I store things upside down like this. That way they dry more evenly and such. So tents are a good way to sort of accomplish those goals. The second sort of means of kind of managing moisture is if you need to preserve the plasticity of your clay, you probably want to put it in an airtight bag. Basically, let's say you started a pot yesterday and you haven't finished sculpting, as in you haven't done all of the pinching you need to do. What I would do is I would seal it in the bag just like that. Just get that thing in there and then seal it so there's no air able to get in and out. What that's going to do is enable you to store that clay in there for probably a couple weeks. And when you get in there, the piece is still going to be malleable. It's still going to be in the plastic state. You can still manipulate it and alter its form. It's not leather hard. So bagging it tight or creating an airtight bag is a great way to preserve moisture. Seals in the moisture, preserves plasticity, and it's a decent long-term storage solution. I don't know that you can go more than a couple of weeks with a piece this big, but if you've got it airtight in there, it's going to last for a while. All right? So airtight again, I just get the piece in there, and I actually wrap the piece, sealing it up, and then store it on your bat. The last kind of most useful kind of practice is that of the moist towel. This is kind of an area that it's good for long-term storage. You want to use it with caution though. And if you put too much moisture, you can rot out your pot. It'll literally rot the pot away. So moist towel and bag is kind of an emergency process, or it's one where you know you're going to be gone for a long time, or you need to restore moisture to your clay. So basically, this is simple paper towel. It can be achieved with newspaper. But what I've done is I've got a pot here, and let's say I know I'm going to be gone for a week or two, and I need to preserve plasticity. I can wrap it with that moist towel, and I can show you how to do that. You can get it wet beforehand. Make sure it's not soaking wet, and you can drape it around the piece. You don't want to put it on the bottom. You don't want to rot out the bottom. So draping the piece like that, that's probably more than adequate. You do not want to see it dripping water. Don't do that. And then it's got to be bag tight. This is going to preserve plasticity for a couple of weeks, believe it or not. All right. Now, let me show you how to get a moist towel going in the event you need to do it. I've got some paper towel here. Basically dry paper towel. I've got a spray bottle. Some people soak it in the sink. I've found that you can either pre-spray it and wrap it around the piece, or you can take dry towel Again, don't wrap it around the bottom. Dry towel, and then spray that. It doesn't matter much how you get there, but what you want to make sure is that you don't put so much water that it's dripping. See, if it were dripping like this, that's too much water. So you don't want to have it dripping water. One other thing. Let's say I had some clay that was nearly bone dry, meaning like I could break it off in chunks. In the event that you needed to restore some moisture to that, you could probably put a little moist towel around it overnight and bag it tight, and it may actually it will suck up some ambient moisture here. It will slowly draw that out of the paper towel and into the clay, and you can actually sort of return clay sometimes from the bone dry state to kind of a very firm leather hard state. It's a practice that needs to be done skillfully, but it can be achieved. But more importantly, moist towel is really about long-term preservation of plasticity and moisture. Be careful with it. Do not rot out your pot by wetting it too much. If you need to store clay for weeks, like you're going to be gone over a Christmas break or something, you probably want to do a little moist towel and bag. That's going to be how you're going to preserve your piece. Well, that's moisture management in a nutshell. Again, the tent loses moisture, airtight, preserve moisture, moist towel, real long-term storage, and if you need to sort of restore moisture to your pieces. Good luck. Thank you.